Have you ever stopped to wonder, where does your personal space begin and where does it end? That's what we're here to talk about today. Personal boundaries, those invisible lines that separate us from the world around us. Now you might be thinking, personal boundaries, what's the big deal about that? Well, they're a lot more important than you might realize. Personal boundaries are essential for maintaining our mental and emotional health. They're like invisible shields, protecting us from feeling overwhelmed or taken advantage of. They help us to define what we're comfortable with and what we're not, allowing us to maintain control over our own lives. But here's the thing, personal boundaries aren't one size fits all. They can vary widely from person to person. Some of us might have boundaries as sturdy as a brick wall, while others might have boundaries more akin to a picket fence. And that's perfectly okay. What's important is that our boundaries work for us. What influences these boundaries then? A whole host of factors. Our culture, for instance, can play a big role. In some cultures, it's perfectly normal to stand close to someone while talking, while in others, that might be seen as an invasion of personal space. Our upbringing can also influence our boundaries. How our parents or caregivers respected or didn't respect our boundaries can shape how we set our own. Personal experiences, too, can shape our boundaries. If you've ever had a bad experience that left you feeling uncomfortable or unsafe, chances are you've adjusted your boundaries accordingly to prevent that from happening again. In essence, personal boundaries are an essential part of who we are. They help us to protect our mental and emotional well-being and to navigate our interactions with the world around us. They're as unique as we are, shaped by a myriad of influences. Just like a physical boundary that defines your property, personal boundaries define where you end and others begin. How can we identify when a boundary is needed? A question we often find ourselves asking, isn't it? It's not always easy to spot, but there are clear signs that can indicate a need for setting boundaries. Picture this, you're often left feeling discomfort or resentment in your interactions with others. These feelings can be an internal alarm bell, signaling that your personal boundaries might have been crossed. This discomfort can come in various forms. Maybe it's a nagging feeling that you're always the one making sacrifices, or perhaps it's a sense of being undervalued or overlooked. These feelings can be subtle, but they're worth paying attention to because they're your mind's way of saying, hey, something's not right here. Another sign is overcommitment. If you find your calendar filled to the brim with no time left for yourself, it's a clear indication that you're not setting effective boundaries. It's like trying to pour from an empty cup. You can't give to others if you've depleted your own resources. Remember, it's okay to say no sometimes. In fact, it's necessary for your own well-being. Being taken for granted is another major sign. If you constantly feel unappreciated or that your efforts are being exploited, it's time to reassess. This could mean that you're not communicating your worth effectively or that the people around you aren't respecting your limits. Recognizing these signs can be the first step to setting healthier boundaries. It's about acknowledging your feelings and taking them seriously. It's about understanding your worth and asserting it. It's about giving yourself permission to prioritize your own needs. But remember, setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating a safe space for yourself. It's about fostering mutual respect and understanding in your relationships. It's about ensuring that you're not just surviving, but thriving. Recognizing when you need a boundary is the first step towards a healthier, happier you. So, how do we go about setting these boundaries? Excellent question. It's a process that requires a good understanding of oneself, clear and assertive communication, and steady consistency. Let's break it down into manageable steps. Firstly, self-awareness is key. What are your limits? What makes you feel uncomfortable or stressed? It's essential to identify your emotional, mental, and physical boundaries. Spend some time in introspection. Reflect on past experiences where you felt your boundaries were crossed. Use these instances to understand where you need to draw the line. Next, it's time to communicate these boundaries clearly. Clear communication is not about being aggressive or confrontational. It's about expressing your needs assertively, respectfully, and unapologetically. Practice phrases like, I feel uncomfortable when, or I would prefer if. It's crucial to remember that your feelings are valid, and it's okay to express them. Remember, setting boundaries might invite reactions. Some might respect your boundaries, while others may challenge them. This is where the third step comes in: consistency. Consistency in maintaining your boundaries is vital. It sends a clear message that you respect yourself and expect others to do the same. Be firm, but kind. Now, this process might seem overwhelming at first, but it's important to remember that it's a journey, not a destination. You'll learn and adjust as you go, and that's completely okay. It's all about progress, not perfection. And here's a bonus tip. Practice self-compassion. Setting boundaries can be challenging, especially if you're not used to it. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your small victories, because each boundary you set is a step towards respecting and taking care of yourself better. Remember, setting boundaries is not about excluding others, but about taking care of your own needs. It's about creating a safe space for yourself, where you can thrive and be your best. So let's embrace the journey of setting boundaries and step into a healthier, happier you. Setting boundaries is one thing, but how do we maintain them? Now that's a question that demands a thoughtful answer. Just like a garden, boundaries need constant care and attention. They need to be nurtured and preserved. However, this doesn't mean that it's an arduous task. It's more about being aware and mindful of your needs and feelings. A good starting point is regular self-check-ins. It's about pausing every now and then, taking a step back and asking yourself, are my boundaries being respected? Am I respecting my own boundaries? You see, it's not just about others crossing your boundaries. Sometimes you might unknowingly cross them yourself. Now let's talk about assertive communication. It's vital in maintaining your boundaries. Being assertive means expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs in an open and honest way, while also respecting the rights and beliefs of others. It's about standing up for yourself in a calm and positive way. And here comes the big one, saying no. Yes, you heard it right. It's okay to say no. Often we find ourselves in situations where saying no feels like the hardest thing to do. But remember, saying no doesn't mean you're being rude or selfish. It simply means you're taking care of your own needs and respecting your own boundaries. Now let's not forget about self-care. It plays a pivotal role in maintaining personal boundaries. Self-care is about recognizing your needs and taking steps to meet them. It's about treating yourself with kindness and respect. It's about taking time out for yourself, doing things that you enjoy, and nurturing your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. In the end, maintaining your boundaries might seem like a challenging task at first, but it gets easier with time and practice. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And remember, it's okay to adjust your boundaries as you grow and evolve. Maintaining your boundaries is a continuous process, but it's worth it for the peace and happiness it brings. So, what have we learned about personal boundaries? In the past 10 minutes, we've taken a deep dive into the intricate world of personal boundaries, a subject that is often overlooked, yet is so crucial to our well-being. We've discovered that personal boundaries are the invisible barriers that separate us from others, helping us to define ourselves and our relationships. They're not about shutting people out, but rather about allowing us to have healthier, more fulfilling relationships. We've learned to recognize the signs that boundaries may be needed. Are you feeling drained or overwhelmed? Are you saying yes when you really want to say no? These are clear signs that you might need to establish some boundaries. We've also explored the importance of listening to our feelings and trusting our instincts when it comes to recognizing these signs. Next, we journeyed into the process of setting your boundaries. We learned that it's crucial to be clear, firm, and consistent. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to prioritize your own needs. Remember, setting boundaries isn't a one-time thing, but rather a continual process of self-discovery and growth. We then moved on to the topic of maintaining your boundaries. It's one thing to set boundaries, but another to uphold them. We discussed the importance of staying firm even when it's tough. We also touched on the value of self-care and self-love in maintaining our boundaries. Finally, we've learned that personal boundaries are not rigid structures, but flexible lines that can be adjusted as we grow and evolve. They are not meant to create distance, but to foster respect and understanding. Remember, your boundaries are your own, and it's up to you to define and protect them. So here's to healthier, happier relationships with ourselves and others.